Good morning, Professor Walk.
Hello, good morning. I am almost ready. I hope I am visible now.
Yeah, you're visible.
Let's check our presentation.
Yeah.
So it should be. So how it looks like.
Yeah. Yes, Professor, we are able to view a screen.
So it's full screen, I hope.
No, it is not in the full screen mode.
So let's try now. Oh, probably now.
Yeah. Now it's
So
perfect.
I am ready.
Professor, shall we wait for the participants?
Yes, sorry.
Shall we wait for the participants to join?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
How many participants we may expect?
Sir, we are expecting for the students to join, so we'll wait a couple of minutes, sir.
Okay, right.
Thanks. Sorry, sir.
Professor, shall we start?
I am ready.
Okay.
So, welcome, dear participants, for the fifth keynote talk of the conference. The session topic is quite interesting. Honeybees practice a unique kind of consensual democracy where the group comes to a decision through a consideration of options and a process of elimination. What happens when such a democracy is used for individuals to share their knowledge, data, and skills for the purpose of solving societal issue? Yes, the topic for this session is Honeybee Democracy Towards Collective Intelligence. To elaborate on this, we have with us Dr. Mieczyslaw L. Owoc, Professor Emeritus, Department of Business Intelligence and Management, Wrocław University of Economics and Business, Wrocław, Poland. Now I request our conference chair, Dr. K. Lakshmi, to introduce the keynote speaker.
Thank you, Bettina. Brilliant public speaking comes from being authentic, says Sarah Leo. Professor Mieczyslaw Owoc is the Vice Chair of Working Group 12.6 Knowledge Management of IFIP Framework since 2013. He is Professor Emeritus in Department of Artificial Intelligence Systems, Wrocław University of Economics, Poland. He obtained his habilitation in Economic Sciences in the discipline of Management Sciences from Faculty of Management and Computer Science at Wrocław University of Economics. Also, he completed his doctorate in the field of Economic Sciences in the same discipline from the same university. Before joining Wrocław University, he was system analyst, designer, and programmer at Academia Economiczna Wrocław, Poland. And there he continued his service as lecturer, professor, and the head of department. Also, he had been a director for Wrocław University of Economics in the departments of Faculty of Management, Computer Science and Finance, and Institute of Economic Computer Science. During his enlightened service period, his research has impacts in many fields such as Business Informatics Network in Common Euro, European University Lifelong Learning Network, knowledge acquisition and distributed learning in resolving managerial issues, developing the innovation methodology of teaching, business informatics, etc. He had been the editor for several series of IFIP International Workshop on Artificial Intelligence for Knowledge Management. Professor has co-authored more than 150 publications with a total citation of 600 plus in the research area of AI and knowledge management. We are so honored to have you, sir, as the keynote speaker for this evening. I'm certain that all the participants present here will be enriched by this keynote talk. Please join me in welcoming Professor Mieczyslaw Owoc. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for a very nice presentation. It was for me it is very great pleasure to be with you, to participate in this conference, especially because I am also a real beekeeper. So what means that I may share my scientist interest with my hobby. So today let's turn to the nature. As you announced, my topic is Honeybee Democracy Towards Collective Intelligence. It is very, I hope, interesting, especially for people who are closer to the nature. I'd like to present my speech in 4 points, starting from a short introduction where I'd like to remind you an essence of honeybee life and also their ability to be smart. Secondly, I'd like to present this broader context of knowledge management, which can be termed as collective intelligence, focusing on some preconditions which are important when we try to apply some projects connected with this collective intelligence. And my main point, it will be defined according to our topic, democratization of Honeybee processes and collective intelligence. And finally, a short summary of my speech. What is important at the beginning? So there are several books on, of course, on bees, on honeybees. Here on the left side, we have some of the most important. Our compatriot, Jan Dzierżon, who was one of the author of Rational Beekeeping. Second book, it is Nobel Prize in Literature, Maurice Maeterlinck, who wrote La Vie des Abeilles, so Life of Honeybees. Very interesting also from this natural context of those insects. And what is also important in terms of our topic, it is way of communication of bees. So Karl von Frisch, who was also in our Wrocław University in the previous century. He made some research, and perhaps somehow it was important in his future Nobel Prize and appreciation of his work. More closer to our time, you have here some covers of the books important also for me. Especially, I'd like to present some excerpts from the book published by Thomas Seeley, Professor Thomas Seeley, exactly titled Honeybee Democracy. And of course, it is some component or more global approach to following of our nature in terms of swarm intelligence, what also proposed as the Society of Mind many years ago, Mervyn Minsky, and this idea of big mind. So let's first present some details about honeybees. So the small insects are rather typical, so in terms of main parts, but their ability is can be very surprised for us, because, for instance, how they may see our world. So they are not able to see, for instance, red color, but many others, important in case of flowers, other flowers are recognized very fast. There are three sorts of bees. So it seems to the most important, it is the queen. The queen as a not leader, but according to what researchers investigated, without queens, this family will die very soon. However, they have some methods how to survive. Second, and with the big number of population in the hive, it is workers, also female, and the last presented in this upper part, drones, drones were responsible for creation of a nice atmosphere in the hive. But of course, and their their main goal it is fertilization of after this special dance with queens, they are able this queen is able to fertilize and create the whole family. Shortly about life of honeybees, except the queen who can her life is about 3 to 5 years. The other honeybees are they have very short life. So here we have gradually presented sequence of days and their responsibility. This the longest period starting from after about 20 days, they are able to collect pollen, collect nectar, water, and be responsible for producing of wax and honey. However, some earlier abilities they can present during first decades of their life. Now some statistics of honeybees. Imagine that one honeybee is able to produce during her lifetime just 1/12 teaspoon of honey. So it is really very small portion. About their ability to fly, so it is more than 50 miles during their life. Of course, during collection of some sugar from flowers and other elements. What's also important, this society is one of the longest during our world. So there are some discovering about their existing since 30 million years. So it is astonishing for us. Additional abilities in terms of receptors, odorant receptors. So 1/3 of pollination so is made by honeybee. But also there are several traits of during their life. On the right side we have some details about it, starting from the smallest one, so namely some parasite living on their even on their body, but also in the hives. So this varroa, and also mankind people are responsible for some threats because using some chemicals they make life of bees even horrible. So now let's go to some very important work, or we may say that it is some kind of ecosystem. They are able to service first in terms of regulation, so just what I mentioned, pollination, and in reality they are responsible for keeping our nature in fresh mode. honeybee are famous from their products, mostly, of course, honey, but also beeswax. Additionally, very famous and useful in keeping our healthy propolis and other elements. So more generally, we may say that they are try to conserve solutions to mitigate human wildlife conflict, because the acting people very often are their enemies in reality. And the last, let's say, stream of their activities and their services, it is ability to showing us how people can make some progress in different disciplines. So here it is very interesting thing that also in India, it is one of in this journal of apiculture, we may find details about it. In the central part of India, in Pachmaki, it is special rock honeybees, and there are some excursion to this place. Also, similarly, we may find such nest in Nepal. So now shortly about research context. Very often we may be surprised by their ability first to create their sails. So here it is some patterns how to create good, let's say, houses for different stages or larvae of bees. But additionally, we may learn from nature also in terms of how to use energy, how to clean and protect our houses and so on. More generally, we may say about three directions of researchers in terms of honeybees. Of course, one of them, it will be our today's topic. But let's start from such very demanding also for us interdisciplinary aspect when when researchers try to analyze their life. So honeybee colonies are main topic of research, not only in computer science, because also here we have some special algorithms, but also in other disciplines. Second direction, it can be defined as honeybee society and democracy. So more deeper a bit later during my speech. Anyway, it is proved that functionally of honeybee society is strictly connected with this idea of democracy, because they are able to communicate, to debate, and formulate some solutions in case of some problems. And the last direction here defined, it is some inspirations for collective intelligence. So, as I said, it is a result of their abilities in terms of communication and decision making. So now let's try to present some essential features of those small insects. Shortly about their brains. So it is very small comparing to other insects, but it is what was discovered we may here monitor greater brain density. So what means that they are able to be very smart. They are able to first recognize different tastes. Also, of course, they are able to fly even in darkness using special sort of eyes. They are able to learn and adapt and perform some functions typical for higher animals. Below we have some details about why we may term honeybees as smart entities. So as I said, some learning and memory abilities. They are, of course, able to identify and remember colors, some landmarks. Also, they are able to remember their routes for quite long distance. So it is matter of creation in their brain some maps, looking for the shortest way to their hive, and also including some obstacles during their way. Of course, it is also, especially inside of this hive, their ability to distinguish harmful fungi from harmless ones. So it means that they are able to protect their hive. However, beekeepers are supported in this battle against their fungi. Next, what I'd like to stress, it is ability to think. So, as I said, it is they are able to learn different actions, different things very quickly. There are several papers on it. Let's go to wider perspective. So here, according to some researchers, they are able to think in abstract way. They are able to, of course, to make some decision, correct decision, proper decision in case of, for instance, losing their queen. And of course, also planning, because they forecast what may happen, and therefore they're trying to prepare to these future events. This matter of understanding of time also. So changing seasons for them, so they are able to recognize what will happen. So they're preparing for the winter time, for example, and after spring, during spring, they are able to start their hard work. So it is really very for us surprised. Even they are able to be taught to use tools. They can be tools or some methods. For instance, if they try to fight with bigger enemies, they are able to protect the hive in different ways according to particular dangers. Very important things in terms of collective intelligence, it is communication. You may say that it is one of these conditions of real cooperation. Just at the beginning mentioned Carl von Frisch, he discovered the way of communications between honeybees. So it is some kind of dancing. In fact, there are two sort of dance. So first one is prepared, is used during or after discovering some flowers close to the hive. So it is round dance. You have here also some movies which can be activated on using YouTube, for example. And the most important for further places, it is waggle dance. What means that honeybees are able to inform other workers where they may find nectar source, defining direction and defining distance. So it is exactly after special dancing. So at least for several miles are able to discover and to follow this food source. Now let's go to the second element of my speech, so collective intelligence. So the most frequently used definition here we try to stress this possibility of cooperation between individuals. So they are able to gather first and then to share the knowledge. And of course, it is oriented on solving some problems, some issues. So it means that here, if we have so probably many individuals with different purposes, it is important this consensus decision making, this form of debates and coming to the solution. In this upper part, we have exactly components and also some research on this topic. So those three elements appeared, which we may also connect or discover in honeybees families. So cognition, this ability to define some problems, to recognize components of these problems and so on. Secondly, it is necessary cooperation between individuals. There are some preconditions of our cooperation, and of course, because it is STEM, it is crowd very often, so therefore it should be coordinated. So therefore, those actions should be also undertaken. Let's focus on some preconditions of collective intelligence. The first one can be defined, and according to what we say before a minute, it is cognitive preconditions for collective intelligence. We may be touched by some social phenomena, and some problems appeared here, and therefore individuals can work in terms of recognize this problem and propose very intentionally some solutions. So this area is very important. Secondly, what is also typical for higher society, for honeybees, it is cultural preconditions. So here we may trust some people, some not, and therefore it is matter of passing their some ideas among members of societies. Next preconditions which is connected, as I stressed, with crowdsourcing is exactly interaction between one or more honeybees in terms of selection of food source. And here we have some examples of such elements connected with these cultural preconditions. Next one, non-typical for the nature, namely defined as digital preconditions. It is connected with some distribution of researchers, of creation of some containers, repositories of wisdoms. However, some idea of intelligent hive appeared recently, and we may even use in our practice. And organizational preconditions, what means that here we should apply some models of governance, just this matter of coordination. It is better if in case of collective intelligence, we may create some kind of open source model when new elements, new components can be added. And more general view or diagram of collective intelligence infrastructure involving some environment on this typical tasks undertaken by some societies. Of course, it is matter of cooperation of individual members of this society, matter of communication, some generating of solution with more or less complexly defined algorithmics. And here, more advanced framework for supporting collective intelligence. So, as I mentioned earlier, those three elements, cooperation, collaboration, and coordination are essential. And some reference, some relationships between particular components, between real context in creation, this solution are presented in this down part. So now let's go to our main topic. It is democratization of honeybee processes and collective intelligence. So most of this part of my speech, it is borrowed from this mentioned earlier book published by Professor Thomas D. Seeley, Honeybee Democracy. So first, what kind of decision types can be considered by honeybees? So the first one in their normal life, their normal work, it is selection of nectar sources. So therefore, foraging is very essential as a collective work. Secondly, those decisions are connected with losing a queen. So therefore, it can be defined as a life or death problem, very critical in the honeybee family. And the last one, on the contrary, when the number of honeybees in a hive is very big, so they feel their power, and therefore swarming starting. So here there are several problems in first finding this new home. Of course, they try to discuss about it, and they in fact try to build some consensus, because from the very beginning they try to prepare different decisions with different parameters of their future home. What Thomas Seeley stressed, they are able to define some common decision. This collective wisdom and effective decision making is observable in different hives with big numbers of such democratic society. So now let's try to consider their cooperation. In the first case, as I said, it is Honeybee decision on foraging. Probably in most cases, beekeepers try to create their farms with bees close to different sources of potential food for those insects. So therefore, they are trying to find different elements, different group of flowers. They try to inform them, to inform all honeybees present in the hive and so on. Below we have some details about this democratical way of decision making. Of course, we may say about their individual analysis. They try to prepare some individual cost benefits analysis, and they try to inform about each other habitants of the hive. Of course, it is matter exactly of informing the other members of society through communication and through, as we say, some one of the sort of dancing. What is also very interesting, they are able, after comparing some sources, abandon very poor sources, and they are able to be convinced and select the better source of their food. What is also important, it is, as we said, collective decision, because they try to discuss, to debate, and according to some researchers, they try to inform not only about how good is the source, but also, as we said, about distance, but also how to reach this place, including also some additional parameters like weather conditions, like nutritional status of the hives, because in some cases this hive can be full of honey. Also, if this source will be expired, so this depletion problem, they are able to inform about it. It was a first example of this decision. Second one, as we said, it is replacing a queen. So here it is, as we said, very critical point in their life. Can be different reasons why they should replace a queen. So the first one, it is that they are damaged somehow, and so it means that this queen is not able to generate some pheromones, because also those pheromones is information about that everything in our hive is good. And so therefore, if those workers discovered that this queen produce very small dose of pheromones, it means that that queen should be changed. And of course, in this after senior time, so what means that after 3 to 5 years, they should be also this queen should be changed. And what kind of solutions they are able to find? So they create some kind of new cells, bigger cells, and what is also important, this direction of these cells is differently created. So comparing to normal cells, it is vertically oriented. And what is also important, this particular future queens are fitted in the special way, so using special components of their food. So also after this short period of larva stage, one of these queens of this insect trying to be free, and very dramatical period for the others, because the others will be killed by exactly by this first just nominated queen. But as I said, this democracy means here that group of workers prepare new sales for these potential queens, and they are fed by some of these workers in a special way. And the last of earlier mentioned decision, it is swarming, what means that, as I said, if a population of honeybees inside of this hive is too big, they feel their strengths and they try to find new place for some. Normally it is half of this population, sometimes less, and it happens that there are many swarms from one hive, what is not good for generally for beekeeper. New G prepare some movies and prepare some paper on decision making in a collective intelligence, exactly oriented on this honey swarm. On this left side, we have some evidence of research prepared and made by Tom Seeley with with his PhD students. We may very carefully analyze what's happened in terms of defining orientation of new house, of new potential settlement for this new society. So according to the first figure, this dominant was point A. Secondly, appeared new ones after some 2 hours. What means also that bees involved in discussion, in debate of this exactly these points increased. This and in the next hours, new directions appeared. Point B, then point G, and next day, early morning, point G was selected, and finally this swarm started, and also additional problems appeared about informing which direction should be taken and so on. So really very collective way of work. As it was mentioned, we have here several phases during their work. So first it is called this debate. So on this placed in this left upper part of this figure, this proposal of some new destinations. Secondly, it is some kind of agreement on both sides. And what is here important, they try to discover the best place in terms of capacity, in terms of localization, in terms of also the number of honeybees, also in terms of ways of interior, how they may reach, how they may go, because according to Tom Seeley work, they prepare different shapes and different size of entrance, and they were able to take the best one. And as we said, after building a consensus, they they move. And finally, of course, additional challenge was also solved in collective way. It was steering the flying farm. So because not all of those honeybees, imagine it is it was about 10,000 of bees, so they should be directed somehow. So appeared in this swarm appeared some leaders. They try to convince that it is this direction, after, of course, applauding, after selection of this best solution. Here we have again some summarization of this collective intelligence typical for honeybees. First, on the left side, we have this information about alternatives in selection of particular sites. So, as we say, communication through vagal dance, and info also here in this case. And similarly, it was in terms of selection of food source. So if you try to consider just two sides, so this debate about quorum in such a way it was termed. So finally, one of these sites was selected, and flight to this site was confirmed by other workers. Next element of my presentation, it will be about collective intelligence in terms of so created B algorithm. As it was previously presented, we may here in terms of selection of nectar source, be oriented on some local search, and after comparison on different sources, so there is some kind of Q-value matrix. Their small index were able to create some global solutions. So after comparisons, they were able to select the best one. Here we have some details about this strategy, so-called B algorithm. So it is finally defined as ABC algorithm, because in this algorithm we try to follow in different problems exactly solutions of honeybees. So here we have detail presented some flow chart of this B algorithm. So initialization of parameters, what means directions, what means number of scouts, and so on. So then it was prepare those list of scouts. And after selection one of them, after debate, after calculate probability, if it was still not satisfied, they return to the new group of scouts, and so this casual way of defining group of searchers seems to also be very important in finalizing of their searching. Here you have some summarization. One of author of this B algorithm. It was also prepared some PhD dissertation on B algorithm. But here I'd like to quote just Chinnasamy work. So as you may see, we have here first some itemizing on some control parameters. So onlooker bees, maximum cycle number of it, because it can be repeated, and of course considering or actual food sources. Operators, it was replacement of a bee and reproduction of bee, and selection one or more elements interchangeable. And this B algorithm was implemented in many areas. Here we have this list, for instance, scheduling problems, because it's matter of obtaining some points for instance, at a low cost. Also similar to this vehicle routing problem, also some pattern classification, because they should be able to recognize different flowers, different food sources. Finally, we may say about more global approach to collective intelligence, defined as swarm intelligence, because as it was stressed many times in case of honeybees, it is swarm. But swarm can be also analyzed in terms of ants. So here there are some proposals how to, of course, in quite different, with defined quite different goals. So here is matter of also of searching of food, but quite different food. Also in case of birds, and we go into deep water, we have also swarm intelligence in deep water. After analysis of many such solutions typical for honeybees, for ants, for birds, and for fishes. Inspired by nature, it was created some model of swarm intelligence. Exactly after, of course, testing can be implemented, as we said, in many areas, starting from scheduling problems up to route finding and so on. Here we have some summarizing of this part about swarm intelligence. Additionally, when we try to analyze in case of some disease, how it can be spreaded, so also this medical orientation can be used also in military and so on. And finally, let's go to this idea prepared by Marvin Minsky, so society of mind, where all those elements in somehow were present. So it's matter of reflective thinking, of learning reactions or instinctive reactions, of self-conscious emotions. So all those elements defined in this society of mind as values, as some ideals, can be implemented in reality. So, of course, using typical for artificial intelligence methods, some smart systems. This example with smart cities can be here also as very promising solutions. So let's go to my final words. In this left side, I am with my hive and with my granddaughter, who is also keen of honeybees. As I stressed at the beginning, this ecological aspect of honeybee life are really very important. There are some proverbs, not probably quite true, but about that human civilization can vanish about, let's say, several years after closing honeybee activities. Second, my message, it was connected, as we said, and defined as preconditions of collective intelligence. So here we have exactly those elements, like those conditions are cognitive, as cultural, are organizational, typical for honeybees also, and digital additionally in terms of creation some frameworks. As it was presented earlier, this democratization of society actions in reality empowers collective intelligence. What I said at the end part of my speech, this new swarm algorithms was exactly inspired by Honeybee intelligence, by this society. And for sure, you may say that Honeybee colonies are examples of society of mind with democratically defined decision making, and so on. Finally, I also say a few words about beautiful work, beautiful book about history of bees, published by Maja Lunde. She is from Norway, and she described honeybees families in three periods. First one, it was in the 19th century, what means that it was rather very natural. This now what I said also about some traits, some dangerous, so it is an extreme. Anyway, it is some warnings from this book about vanishing honeybees, where in China, for example, pollination is made by some robots, but it's not the same as you know. Thank you very much. It was all what I presented. Now I may expect some questions. I am ready to answer. I'll be happy to answer on some of this.
Thank you, sir. Participants, if you have any queries, you can raise your questions now. Dear participants. Dear participants, if you have any queries, you can either unmute yourself and answer question, or you can put it in the chat box.
Of course, it would be also possible if you send me email, I will try to answer. Anyway, I'd like to encourage you to make some research about collective intelligence inspired by the nature, because still we have perhaps too many technological approaches, and here this stream connected with the nature can be very interesting, I suppose, and more natural.
Yes, sir. Truly, sir. Thank you. If there are no questions.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
See you somewhere, somewhen, I hope, in reality.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Professor Owoc. It was truly engrossing to see how the life of honeybees is so organized and resourceful. Be it the dimension of collective intelligence, the three C's, coordination, cooperation, and collaboration, or the foraging and decision making. The similarity between the honeybee democracy and to our intelligence system and society was truly fascinating to know. And I'm sure the participants here would explore deep into the collective intelligence and the honeybee democracy as well. So thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable time, and thank you for being here and to share your knowledge with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear participants, the feedback link is in the chat box. Please fill in the feedback form. The validatory function will start at 2:45.
So
please. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
sir.
much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Dear participants, please join back at 2:45 for the validity function.
Priyadarshini, Manisha.
Hello, mom. Mom, ஒரு 2 minutes start பண்ணலாம் mom.
என்ன Priyadarshini?
Mom, we will start in 2 minutes, mom.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, mom.
Manisha.
Look at this.
Good evening, all.
Welcome to the valedictory function of the 5th International Conference on Computational Intelligence and in Data Science, ICC IDS 2022. Over the past two days, we were presented with various talks on the different technologies today by a number of eminent speakers around the world. We were introduced to data science and its applications, AI for global security, research trends in computer vision, features to embedding in ML pipeline, and also about collective intelligence. I hope the participants must have gained ample knowledge and will work on them in future. We had a total of 28 papers presented in 3 parallel talks. Congratulations to all of them. We hope the comments from the panel members would greatly help you in taking your research forward. Now I request the conference chair, Dr. R. Priyadarshini, to announce the best papers.
Thank you, Lokeshwari. Good evening, all. First of all, a hearty wishes to all the authors and participants of our international conference, ICC IDS 2022. So we received totally 96 papers, which was thoroughly reviewed by both internal reviewers, that is our faculty members, and external experts from various academic institutions. Among 96 papers, we selected the best 28 for presentation based on the review we got from the reviewers and the subsequent publications in the IFIP proceedings. The paper presentation happened in 3 tracks, both yesterday and today. Now we appreciate all the presenters for exchanging the concepts and for sharing their ideas in our forum. Now the most awaited part of the conference, yes, the best paper announcement. So in track 1, papers were evaluated by session chairs, Professor Chitra Babu, Dr. Tenmuri, and Dr. Bona, which is coordinated by Dr. Sarat Chandar. In this track 1, the best paper selected is paper ID 95, supervised learning of procedures from tutorial videos. Congratulations to the authors, Arunima, Amlan, Aparna, Professor Venkata Varaprasad, and Dr. Lokeshwari. And in the track 2, papers were evaluated by session chairs, Professor Venkata Varaprasad, Professor Chamundishwari Ma'am, and Dr. Valli Devi, which was coordinated by Dr. Mrinalini. In this track, the best paper selected was paper ID 47, which is analysis of the impact of white box adversarial attacks in ResNet. Congratulations to the authors, Bharat Kumar, Nanda Kumar, Snofi, and Dr. Mary Anita Rajam. In track 3, papers were evaluated by session chairs, Dr. Kanchana, Dr. Prabhavati, and Dr. Saraswati, which was coordinated by Dr. Sujaudan. In this track, the best paper selected was paper ID 63, which is the paper title, Enhanced Residual Connection Methods for Low Resolution Images in Rice Plant Disease Classification by Satya and Rajalakshmi. Congratulations to all the winners. Now let us all unmute and give a big round of applause for the winners. Please unmute and give a big round of applause. So we will receive the best paper. You will all receive the best paper e-certificate. Now I thank all the reviewers, session coordinators, session chairs, and all the authors for being a part of the conference. Thank you all.
Now I would request the participants to provide your feedback about the conference.
Participants, you can unmute yourself and you can just share a few words about the conference.
Good afternoon, all. This is Satya, and also I am proud to say I am alumni of SSN. Really, I am today happy. It is almost 12 years. So here, and also it added that today I was received a best paper from the best institution. The conference from the first day to till now, it is really is really well organized one, and also it is very very useful for the young researchers like us. Thank you all, and also I'm personally thankful. Thank you to all my gurus here. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Satya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Congrats. Anybody else? Please share a few words about the conference. Okay, then there are no more feedback. We can proceed. Lokeshri, ma'am, we can proceed.
We invite our conference chair, Dr. S. Manisha, to deliver the word of thanks.
Thank you is such a prayer that cannot be seen or touched. It must be felt by heart. I feel honored and privileged to get the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion. I would like to thank all the honorable keynote speakers who had accepted our invitation and shared their insights on several technical topics with us. I am also very much thankful to all the technical committee members and paper reviewers. Words are not enough to thank their constant guidance and support to shape the conference. I thank all the paper authors for their kind cooperation and timely responses to all our questions. I, on behalf of the organizing committee, convey deep regards and hearty thanks to our HOD, Dr. T.T. Mirnalini, for guiding us throughout the conference and for her constant help and guidance that radiated a source of energy within us. I am also thankful to all the session chairs and session coordinators for evaluating the paper presentation and sharing their comments with us in helping us choose the best papers of this conference. I am very much thankful to Springer IFIP AICT for approving our conference proceedings to be published with them. I am also thankful to all our faculty colleagues and non-teaching staff members who always stand by us and motivate us for their constant support in all possible manners to organize this conference. I feel very proud and thank you for making this event a successful one. An event of this dimension cannot happen overnight. The wheels started rolling months in advance. At this juncture, I would also like to thank Dr. Chitra Babu for various help and guidance we received towards this conference. My sincere thanks to our principal, Dr. V.E. Annamalai, who graced us in the inaugural with his kind words and shared his wishes for the conference. My thanks to the SSN management for giving us the opportunity to organize an event of this grandeur. It would have been impossible to organize it without their support. Thanks to all of you for making this event a successful one. Thank you.
Thank you, Manisha ma'am. Thank you very much for your active participation. E-certificates will be sent to your mail, to your registered mail. Now I request everyone to rise up for the national anthem. Thank you.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा चञ्चल जलधितरङ्गा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you everyone for joining the valedictory function. Thanks to all the participants. We are looking forward to meeting everyone in some other forum. Thanks one and all. I request all the faculty members of SSN CSE department to come outside in front of HOD ma'am's room. We'll all take a big picture.
Manisha, can we leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We'll have a photograph.
Okay, physically, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to have a snapshot of these online participants as well?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We will have
Okay.
it. Ma'am.
Yeah, then
So participants, please switch on your camera.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you.